Okay, so sometimes before I go to bed, I read out of my
You don't go
Kindle.
to bed.
I do go to bed. I so do. And I rent books from the library and it just moves them over, which is really cool. And it's got a really weird feature that I don't know who this is for, but you can highlight text in it, but then also it will highlight it for everybody that reads that book.
Like in the future?
And so I'll be because it's through an app like Libby, and it sends it from the library to my reading device.
Okay.
And it'll be underlining a sentence. It's like, and then she said goodbye for possibly the last time. And it's like, why is this highlighted? And I'll like poke at it, and it says 355 people have highlighted this.
Wow.
Why?
And also, why is that a stat that the track?
Yeah, it's a very strange thing.
Engagement.
Huh. Engagement bait in a Kindle.
I will never understand people's highlighting proclivities in books. Like, I remember I actually got a secondhand textbook one time, and there would be like entire, like good half a page, full page of just all the text highlighted. And then there was one page that was like 3/4 of the way through that the person had genuinely, corner to corner, and I don't know if they were just doodling or what, just highlighted the entire page. And I'm telling you, like, it was an 8.5 sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, that they had just highlighted the entire page filled with highlighter. I'm like, how important this page could have been.
I was so nervous about messing up any of my books. Like, not nervous. Like, I just didn't want to. I want to keep it in pristine condition. And I knew other people who would like stick a book, in the back of their pocket, and it would just get totally roughed up. And I became more like that as I got older, and like was too busy to deal with it.
Too cool to take care of books.
But, yeah, I mean, I'm like a reader, man.
Shame, Zach.
But yeah, I never would highlight or write in my books. Textbooks, did you have to return those? I can't remember.
I would sell them back.
I don't remember.
Even in like 5th grade? Do we have textbooks in 5th grade?
They would usually hand them out in 5th grade. So
okay. So you do what you want.
Okay.
No, this was an adult. I'm pretty sure that it highlighted this entire page.
Highlight a whole page. It doesn't just like the yellow wetness like goes through the page.
Yeah, it's like slightly soaked. Like forever.
Yeah.
Your yellow wetness goes through pages.
Gross.
Being on books.
Being on books.
I can just, you heard it here first. I can just imagine it's like some college professor that's like, all of this is important. Highlight the whole page. And he's like, yeah, okay, sure.
Whatever.
I'll just like remember this is all important. But he said highlight the whole page. I will highlight the whole page. I don't want to fail this class.
Yeah.
Well, and there's some point when you're looking at it, trying to like decipher what could it have been? What was it about these words? And you're reading it and you're like, I'm in this class right now. What am I missing? Like, clearly this person, they have the deep knowledge that I don't have.
What information is on this page that would be better read as though I was reading it on the side of a school bus? Yellow on black.
There you go.
Black on yellow.
Black on
yellow. You know what it is.
Animorphs 55, the podcast, would love to hear from you. You can email the show at animorphspodpeople@gmail.com. We also post links to other listening methods, our Blue Sky account, and links to friends of the show on our Linktree at linktree.com/Animorphs55, the podcast. Enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. It's Patrick. Today, we've got something special for you. I run another podcast called Dad Reads to You. It's a kids' book read-aloud podcast where I read kids' books, both famous and lesser-known, all with fun music and voices. I had Alex and Zach on for an episode to talk about books we read as a kid and what we read to our kids now. It should scratch that nostalgia itch and help you get to know the three of us just a little bit better. If you've got kids in your life, maybe check out Dad Reads to You. Links in the episode description. And now, with just slightly more ado, here's the episode we recorded for Dad Reads to You. Hi, everyone. It's me, Dad, and welcome to Dad Reads to You. Thanks for joining. Today's episode is going to be a little different than the others on this channel. I've got a couple of guests today, and we're going to talk about the books we read when we were little, the books we read to our kids, and what those books mean to us. I've got Zach and Alex from the other podcast that I do, Animorphs 55, the podcast. Zach, tell me about yourself.
Hi, I'm Zach. I am one of the hosts of Animorphs 55. That was a big book of my childhood, but I'm ready to do this. I got kids of my own. Let's talk books.
Alex, who are you?
I'm
sorry.
I'm Alex. I don't have any kids of my own, but I have read quite a few books in my time, so I'm looking forward to talking about some exciting books to read.
All right. And I know you listeners probably know me just as Dad, but my name is Patrick. So if somebody says Patrick, they're talking about me. All right. I think that when I was little, one of my favorite books in the world was Bill Pete's The Wump World. Now that's a story about some fuzzy little hippos that live in a very lush green planet. And then some aliens come down and they pollute it. And just like a lot of other books and TV shows and movies and songs from the 90s, it had a very strong message of environmentalism. And I think that did a lot for me wanting to do my part and keep the world clean. And I was one of those kids that went and picked up garbage. It was fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this was before everything was gross and going to make you sick.
True.
The before time. Classic 90s.
Yeah. Did either of you ever read any of the Bill Pete books?
I didn't.
Like Big Bad Bruce, Cyrus the Unsinkable Sea Serpent.
Oh, that sounds slightly familiar, though.
There's a little bighorn. There's a runaway caboose. Gets stuck in some trees.
Oh, man. This clearly resonated with you. You can bring these up from memory. Very nice. I have my own like that, but just not that particular series, no.
Okay, yeah. What series did it for you? In the same way.
You know, I read. Well, first of all, I have to bring this up. It still counts as reading. The Where's Waldo books.
By
Martin
I love
Handford
those
were
books.
just great. I still have a couple copies that I had at my grandma's house as a kid. I've shown those with my kids now. There's a lot of extra stuff to do. Like, you had to really pay attention. Oh, Waldo's losing his cane and his goggles and his teacup. What's up with that? Oh, they're in these pages. Waldo's losing his books. Oh, these books are showing up in the pages. Man, they're good stuff. They're good stuff. There's instant replayability with more things to find.
Definitely. I remember when I was a kid, everybody was talking about the page where there were like 1,000 Waldos. It was Waldo in the Land of Waldos.
Oh, wow.
And I still don't know how we discovered that the real Waldo is the one who's missing his shoe.
Mm-hmm. He's missing his left shoe. That's right. Yep. Yeah,
and I feel like I tried to read that on the page when I got older, and I don't know if it's there. Is that just one of those things that spread
that we just know
across the country?
Maybe.
Before the internet?
Maybe.
An urban legend.
Wow.
Yeah, I also really like the and my kids do too. There's like 60 something of them. The Mr. Men series. By Roger.
I had a bunch
Hargreaves.
of those.
If you don't recall, they're like these little. It's like a square with just very basic illustration of like Mr. Happy or Mr. Strong or Mr. Grumpy or Mr. Bounce or whatever. And they're just short stories about these silly characters in a silly place. They love them. They're great. There's a Mrs. version or Little Miss versions as well. And I think I even saw Doctor versions. I don't know anything about those, but they're in the library.
I think that's something you give to your kids when they graduate college.
Probably. I never got one though, so.
Oh.
Well, in the vein of the Where's Waldo, I remember the I Spy books as well. I know that they had these big dioramas that they would make, and I know there was a lot of attention that went to constructing them so that way it would really draw your eye in certain directions and you could always find something new. And so even at times whenever that was the only book that I had to look at, or it would end up in a doctor's office for some reason, that was a really great one to be able to say, well, what's the new thing that I'm trying to find today? And there was some feature about them that they would always ask you to kind of find things for. Did y'all ever read the I Spy books, or did you ever have a copy of those?
I forgot about those until you brought it up, but like that was they would set up these really intricate, almost like Rube Goldberg machines or something like that, and be like, now find all the parts to this. Those were awesome. I'm probably going to go try to find those now.
I had a off-brand Where's Waldo? It was Alice in Wonderland and just a whole bunch of scenes from there. But again, find the White Rabbit. He's doing something on this page. Find Tweedledum.
It does the trick.
Got his head stuck in something again.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Kindergarten or first grade, I think I got really into the If You Give A series. Like if you give a mouse a cookie,
Yes.
you give a moose a muffin. Those were incredible. I don't know exactly what it was, but I don't know. I read them a lot of times and I just wanted to see what's the mouse going to do this time. I mean, it's the same as the last time you read the book, but maybe this time it'll be different.
Yep.
I recently read If You Give a Cat a Cupcake, I believe. And, he wants sprinkles and he gets sprinkles on the floor. And then it's like he's got to go to the gym because the sprinkles remind him of sand. He's got to go to the beach and then he's not in beach shape or something. So he wants to go work out and and I don't know. It's just, that one got me thinking, well, just don't give him cupcake. But for some reason, that mouse.
He can have all the cookies he wants.
Very persuasive.
Yeah, we love him.
Love that mouse. Yeah, my kids like that one. Those two. I give the pig a pancake, give the moose a muffin, and so on. Yeah, real good stuff. I think there's a show of that now as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, it teaches kids sequencing. It teaches the idea that, you can kind of follow something down and, what's the consequence of this action? What might someone ask for next if you gave them something? I think it teaches a couple of cool values that are fun, while at the same time being interesting enough to be fun to read.
Yeah, and look how many things this animal is asking for of the kid. Gosh, is that familiar?
And that's why we don't give mice cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I got a little bit older, I was sort of a nerd kid, and I read a lot of Magic School Bus.
Oh, loved Magic School Bus.
I only watched it. I never read it.
I had a lot of the book. I mean, probably 4, but
that's a lot.
I think there were a lot more books. But given my library at the time, it was a lot of books to me, and lots of information. I don't know. So for my channel here, Dad Reads to You, I read a book called Volcanoes, and didn't bring a lot of listens, but it's very similar to that book where you're learning about the shapes of volcanoes. And then here's like 30 facts about why volcanoes are shaped this way. Here's an event in Hawaii that a huge volcano eruption went off, and here's all the things that changed in Hawaii because of it.
Very cool.
Here's how it affected the fish. And so in Magic School Bus, you've got all the kids who have their own personalities, and one's a little know-it-all and wants to just spout volcano facts or weather facts or whatever they're learning about for the day. And then one's like, oh, if I tell you about volcanoes, will you let me go home? And
I felt like you could always sympathize. Every kid felt, at least whenever I would read the books when I was younger, there was always different characters that would be sympathized with. I sympathized with the kid who would get a stomach ache whenever things would go off plan, or the kid who knew a bunch of extra facts and wanted to share them. I think those were always a chance to kind of insert yourself into it and feel like you were a part of the field trip, even though you're just reading a book.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Burger King Kids Club, which I usually use as a rainbow of diversity. Just everybody's got somebody there that they identify with. And rather than, I think there's a lot of older people books that have kind of a blank slate for the protagonist, and you just kind of slot yourself in there and say, this is happening to me because there's nothing about this character that contradicts with how I am. I like there being a lot of different characters, and you get to pick your favorite.
Yeah. One of the other early experiences that I had was getting read to as a very young child. I know my dad was very big on making sure that every night we got something read to us. And there would be times when, on more difficult days where it was just an excerpt from a magazine or, a passage from the Bible or something to the tune of that. But quite often I found myself on the end of poetry because, there was quite a renaissance of poetry coming through in the early 90s, and even a little bit before that. And one of my dad's favorites was Shel Silverstein.
Good one.
Because he just had a lot of things that rolled off the dome and were silly and fun, kind of not quite potty humor, but definitely something that was just a little bit more silly than was necessarily usually allowed. And I remember that he would recite ones from memory whenever he wouldn't have a copy of the book around. And my favorite one that he would always go with went something to the tune of, there are too many kids in this tub. There are too many kids in this tub. I just washed it behind that I'm sure wasn't mine. There are too many kids in this tub.
Good one.
And so later on, whenever I got a copy of these books for my birthday or Christmas, it was nice to have the poetry be a little bit more diverse and a little bit less the same poem over and over again. But being read to like that, I mean, that gave a kind of feeling of movement to a book. I think so many times it's easy to think of things as static, and the idea of being read to, and I really appreciate this about your podcast, is the idea of getting to hear a lot of these things read out loud is really meaningful, rather than the idea of just saying, here's words on a page, you better find something you like, good luck. So
yes, any dads that are here right now, keep reading to your kid. It's awesome. I haven't missed a night. They love it. It's important. It's great.
So important. As I got a little bit older, the theme of the Magic School Bus and just information packed onto every page was really appealing to me. And I got into a couple of other books. Did any of you read Incredible Cross Sections? It's the cover's got like the Titanic on it, and it's chopped into several pieces, and you can see inside the ship, and you can see like the engine room, and somebody's shoveling coal, and then there's a cool little fact about how the engine runs on coal and what the guy's life was like, and here's what a hotel, like one of the rooms was like, and they did like a train and a jumbo jet and a castle and all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, I like those a lot, and I forgot about them. I think that was a big one in my elementary school library. I think I remember seeing those a lot there. Was there any that you could actually like pull apart, fold out, anything like that? Was that involved, or am I crossing my memories with something else?
Yeah, and not all of the pages did it, but I think maybe the train and maybe like the Empire State Building, or something really tall and it was sideways. But yeah, just huge, really good illustrations, very detailed, like maybe even more so than Where's Waldo, just packed with people, and every page had like the bathroom on it. And so, yeah, you showed my kids this book and they're like, that guy's on the toilet. And like, okay, well, this is a medieval castle. What happens to the bathroom stuff when it...
yeah, kids.
when it goes down that hole, and
perfect.
Yeah, and what do they do with it? And anyway, that was a lot of fun.
And then round them back up after 5 minutes of laughing about the potty.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of books that were like that too. I know that the DK series of books was always very, very popular when I was in elementary school. This idea of being able to look at things and kind of have little notes drawn to them. It made it feel less like you were reading a book and more like you were getting to participate in learning about something, kind of like going to a museum, but on every separate page. So it would say something like you said, about the coal, in a steamship, or, they had to make sure that these smokestacks were a particular height. Otherwise, everybody would be breathing in all that smoke all the time. And it's like, of course, obviously, you felt smarter and you felt brought in. You never felt talked down to. It felt like, of course I can know that. It lowered that barrier to learning more about it. I had a visual dictionary of science that was one of these style of books. It was a DK book. And so I'd flip through pages and I would think, I'm very good at chemistry now. Or, I'd flip through another pages and yes, I know plenty about the human body. But it just made it feel fun to learn about everything that was there. And like I could just turn pages and explore as much as I wanted to. That was a wonderful style of book to have, and I give it to all of my friends' kids every time that they have a birthday. So I'm sure they have small stacks of them every single time.
I love that because I know I was really hungry for knowledge. And, I knew somebody that had like a whole set of encyclopedias. And it was amazing at the time, before the internet, before getting to stream documentaries and stuff whenever I wanted. It was amazing that somebody had that much information in their house. And you could go over there and read the encyclopedia. I certainly didn't want to because it's
daunting.
Very boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But books like Incredible Cross Sections and it's so much more inviting for a kid. Yeah. I also had The Way Things Work, which was another one of these explain how science works sort of books. It had all these cute little mammoths that it starts out with like simple machines and like, here's an inclined plane, and they rolled this big boulder up and they pushed the boulder over the hill to bonk the mammoth because that's something they couldn't do. They couldn't lift the rock. How were they going to do that? And then they make the mammoth plow their fields or whatever and give him muffins or something.
Give a mammoth a muffin.
What's he going to do? Callback. When you got a little bit older, what are some of the books you read, like with chapters and limited numbers of pictures?
Yeah, I mean, I think my first bridge into that was a book called The Journey of the Red-Eyed Tree Frog. It's not a chapter book, but they had like big pages, big, beautiful illustrations with it, and a big page with just like a few paragraphs, right? So you're stuck on that one for a while. But no chapters. I think that was like a longer book for me. Like I wouldn't do it as a story time, like going to bed book right now. But it really sticks with me. If you haven't read it, I really advise it. But when we got to chapter books, I read a lot of this series, My Teacher is an Alien by Bruce Coville, which we talked about over on our show at one point. And Sideways Stories from Wayside School. There was a few of those. They were just like silly stories about different students in a crazy school that got to wild hijinks. And one of my favorites, absolute favorites, was The Castle in the Attic by Elizabeth Winthrop. And then there was a sequel called The Battle for the Castle. But these are set for like 8 to 12-year-olds. Those were, I can't recommend The Castle in the Attic enough. It's a fantastic book. Those are probably some of mine.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah. I know I got into like mystery books because, again, just like with Magic School Bus and cross sections and stuff, I wanted to be the smart kid and I wanted to show everybody how smart I was. And so I got into Encyclopedia Brown, which it's just tragic that they must have been written in like the early half of the 1900s. And so a lot of this stuff was like, don't you know if you put your postage stamps on sideways, then the mailman contacts the police because you're in trouble or something like that. And I'm like, no, I don't. But it's just a lot of really cool information. Mm-hmm. And I remember there was the bully, Bugs Meany, kept winning the town egg spinning contest because he was hard boiling his eggs. And now I know I can use that in my everyday life. That if I hard boil eggs, I can spin them for a lot longer than I can if they're not. And, that's it's goofy, but there were actually some life lessons in there that felt really useful. Also, I like that his friend's a girl and she is not afraid to like just punch the bully and like stand up for them, stand up for herself. And, this was in a time when girls were frail little flowers, mm-hmm. and a great trailblazer. And I really appreciate that about the book series.
Yeah, it seemed like in the 90s there was a lot of environmentalist books and a lot of solving mystery books. Seemed like a big trope during then.
Yeah, and I think we talked about how Jurassic Park, the hero's not some big muscly guy with a gun. It's mm-hmm. scientists. Yeah. And because I know all this stuff about dinosaurs, I can get us out of this park that the dinosaurs have gotten loose.
Absolutely.
And that was really a big moment for smart people in pop culture. And, knowledge is power. It's good to...
Yep.
I remember reading a series, The Boxcar Children, which I will say the original one, I did look it up, I believe came out in the 20s.
Mm-hmm. It's old.
So a little bit further back. They did have some sequels that trickled out right near the end of the 20th century. So I technically these fall into the range of that, or at least the series does. But I always thought it was really cool, the idea of these kids who are banding together in difficult circumstances, who are finding ways to stretch money and finding ways to take care of each other and to take care of the limited resources they have. We finally got some butter and we finally got some milk, but how do we keep it good and cold without having a refrigerator or an ice box as it would have been back then? Oh, we'll go ahead and wrap it up and we'll put it in the river. And it made you feel like you could be a part of that too. Like if I was a kid in this situation, I could make something work like that. And books like that, like we talked about with, the dictionaries and the cross sections, it made you feel like you could be a part of learning. And it wasn't stuffy. It wasn't boring. You were having fun while you were doing it and investigating kind of how these kids lived. That was a really good one that I really, really liked.
Yeah, they're either solving their own problems or solving town problems. I remember reading those as well. And Hardy Boys. Those are pretty big.
Yeah, I read a lot of Boxcar Children, Hardy Boys, Bobbsey Twins. Not as much Nancy Drew because I'm a boy and that's a girl and she, but
they were too high-minded for me too. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't know why Bobbsey Twins was okay to read, but Nancy Drew wasn't. This was Texas in the 90s, but I know Nancy Drew is good too. Yeah, and I feel like that's a good way of, it's sort of the you can be the hero. You can be a kid and still be a hero to somebody, and it doesn't have to be this Harry Potter, like you're the chosen one and solve all of our problems because you're destined to. Everybody hopes they're going to get superpowers or, like have a long lost relative say, hey, turns out you're actually the prince of some country you've never heard of. Mm-hmm. This seems like an achievable way for a kid to be a hero. I really like that.
Yeah. I know that other books that I had read whenever I was reading reading more on my own, there was a series called Great Illustrated Classics. And what they would do is they would kind of they take full-size books. So you'd have Dracula or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or something to the tune of
Around the World in 80 Days.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And they would be relatively small. I mean, they were probably a 3x4 little book. And so you could carry it around very easily. You could read it whenever you wanted to, and it had pictures in it. So you could see kind of what do the characters look like? What's going on in the story? And it made it so accessible.
Massively abridged.
Yes. Yeah, so I didn't have to deal with
it wasn't
long,
like 800 pages.
It was much more enjoyable to read. And it made, again, that was an accessibility thing to make it so much easier for kids to get into it. I thought all these books, I was like, these are great stories. Why would anybody be so bored as to read them? Granted, I read some of the longer ones later and they were a bit harder to read.
You're bringing back some memories that I'd forgotten about. I do remember some of these, and thinking like, wow, I read The Count of Monte Cristo when I was like 7, but it was a different version.
Because I went. I tried to read the Lord of the Rings trilogy in high school, and I got through the first book, and then I got into the second one, The Two Towers, and they must spend like 50 pages running across a field, and I could not take it anymore. Yeah. That's something that they would have cut from the Great Illustrated Classics section. It's just like, tell me the cool thing that happens next.
Yep.
Oh, I love that. And now that we're at chapter books, I want to talk about Animorphs. I feel like I've got 2 of, probably in the top 100 of the world's Animorphs experts here with me.
Yeah.
What do we like about Animorphs?
Gosh,
if you're
not
60 books.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with it, like, it's a series of books, rotating narrators, bright colored covers that masked a lot of war and like deep friendships, sci-fi choices. Battles, all these different things. Great universe building, aliens, amazing fleshed out characters. It's a really good long arc that, from 96 to '01 that you grew up with. And it stuck with me for a long time. It shaped a lot of the way I think about things. And so I must like it enough to, start a podcast about it. So if you haven't read them, I highly recommend them no matter how old you are. Well, yes.
Absolutely. On Animorphs 55, I'm approaching these books for the very first time. And I know I had read a handful of them whenever I was younger, which I didn't really enjoy. I remember carrying these books around and thinking to myself, I'd love to be able to get more out of the individual books. But, obviously that's not how a episodic story really works. But even reading them now, I think there's just so much to be gained from them. And I think there's so much that's still very applicable to life. I think there's a lot of lessons that exist there that you could pass on or read for the first time as a younger individual, or you could read as an adult and still get a lot out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm getting a lot of new information out of these books now that I'm reading it as an adult versus when I read it when I was a kid. And I think that's the way I approach a lot of different media now. I'm really interested in the story and what this means to everybody else in the story. When I was reading it before, I'm like, oh, cool, they can turn into animals. Oh, cool, they're fighting aliens. Oh, cool, they made it out alive. Awesome. And everything's got that level, but then it's also got these long-lasting, far-reaching impacts into this really complex, well-written world.
I can't speak highly enough about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the reason it's lasted so long.
Yes.
Yeah. And here in 2026, we have just had the 30th anniversary of the book's first release.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a great time to go start those. All right. I want to talk about books that we read to kids. Zach, you go first.
Yeah, I don't read them Animorphs to go to bed. Doesn't quite work
not
that
yet.
way. Not yet.
Yeah, maybe a few years.
It depends on the age. When they were like itty bitty, board books are where it's at. I read Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, Goodnight Moon, the Going to Bed book, which I could still recite with my wife at any moment because we read that thing hundreds of times. And good old Brown Bear. That's like, those are some of the core ones that we read repeatedly, when they're 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But that graduated to some other ones when they get older. But go ahead, tell me some of the baby ones you did.
Yeah, I mean, and at that age, they want the same thing every day,
over and over. Yep.
Yeah, I love Brown Bear. I want more Brown Bear. I want to know what that purple cat sees. And yeah, there was like a 6-month stretch when I would read Brown Bear, What Do You See? Followed by a Child's Good Morning book by Margaret Wise Brown. We read a lot of Margaret Wise Brown. We have an aunt that is just bananas about Margaret Wise Brown and kept giving us books. Then we would read Little Fur Family, which is this, you would think, oh, this is a horrible little monster, but, just looking at it, it's a cute little fuzzy animal, and he's running through the woods and sees some stuff, and then he goes home and goes to bed, and it's great. And it's got a little furry guy on the cover that the kid's like poking and rubbing his furry belly. And then Hide and Seek Harry goes to the beach, I think, and it's just this hippo, giant hippopotamus trying to hide behind like a hammock or a palm tree or something. And so I read those 4 books every single night, had them completely memorized. I would just hold them out in front of my face and flip the page and just know what it said. Flip the page, know what it said.
Yep.
And I did a few nights of just complete no look bedtime stories, 4 different books.
Oh, I definitely remember being just dead tired and getting through story time, and I would never miss a story time. But my mind might wander occasionally, and I would kind of tune back in and realize, wow, I've read like 5 pages of this book and I don't remember it. But okay, I know that we've done it because they didn't stop me. Good stuff.
Currently, we are reading the Magic Treehouse series to my son.
I remember that one.
He's just graduated 2nd grade, but they're great. It's these 2 kids who there's a magic treehouse that appears in the woods near their house. And there are wizards. It's Merlin and Morgan Le Fay, and from like King Arthur times. And they send him all around the world, all through different times. And they go on an adventure. And the kingdom's in trouble. You need the staff of whatever. And you learn a little bit about, the different time periods and different locations. And sometimes they meet famous people. And yeah, it's cool. And we read a couple of chapters a night, and he loves it.
Yeah, my kid devours Magic Treehouse books. I can't, but he specifically goes for the Merlin Missions ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get those. I bring them home, and they're already done, and I can't get enough of them before the next library run. I think that for whatever reason, the regular ones don't hold his attention as much, but the Merlin Missions are where it's at.
Do you know if those were written later? And
I think
it's
so.
Like maybe for a little bit older kids?
Yeah, I think it's just like the next step. Like, let's make it magical. Let's boost it up a bit with something new. This
is Mighty Pups versus Paw Patrol,
right? I think it's like that. Yep.
Okay.
But
nice.
He's into So like there's two kinds of books, right? There's like storytime, bedtime books, and then there's like what he reads. He reads Magic Treehouse. He likes to read Galactic Zack, Dogman, Nerds, Wings of Fire, all these different things that he's into. Big Nate, if I didn't say that, there's a lot of graphic novel things that he's been doing.
Oh, I've got my Calvin and Hobbes collections.
Yeah, those would be good.
I really gotta get those to my kids.
But for bedtime, because I also have younger kids as well, so I got to find something that kind of unites everyone. If you haven't read The Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson, it's fantastic. Maybe my favorite kids book that I read to them. Frog and Toad by Arnold LaBelle.
Love Frog and Toad.
Yeah, really good stuff. Dragons Love Tacos is a big hit. And then a sleeper from the 80s, actually, Bony Legs by Joanna Cole. I thought it would be maybe too scary, but they love to talk about Bony Legs, and this witch is going to get after him. If you haven't read Bony Legs, it's a witch in a house on chicken legs that invites her in and will eat her, but then she escapes with the help of the cat and the dog, who find that she's nice to them where the witch is not nice to them, and
that
she escapes.
Familiar.
Yeah.
I think I read that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
We did it around Halloween, and they liked it enough to keep it around in rotation.
I love that. My daughter just graduated kindergarten, and she's always trying to compete with her older brother, and he can read. I'm going to learn how to read. He can ride a bike. I'm going to learn how to ride a bike. And so she is, she's getting there. She's reading. I mean, I read them, but then sometimes she picks them up in the mornings. Itty Bitty Princess Kitty.
Yes.
Yeah.
We haven't had that one in our house, but
no, you got all boys.
I got all boys.
But yeah, so it's a cat who her mom and dad are the king and queen of this world where everything's like candy and marshmallows and there's fairies and dragons and
perfect
stuff. And there's like 20 books, and they're all about something sort of like the royal version of something that a kid might go through. Like she has to host a ball, and she has to teach people how to dance, and she doesn't know how to dance, and she doesn't want to be up in front of people. Or she is, she's becoming a princess, and you're going to have to get a royal haircut and wear royal clothes, and you're going to have to go to the fancy school. And she's like, no, I don't want to do any of those things. And it's kind of about, knowing what you want, and maybe you need to stand up for yourself and say, hey, Mom, I really don't want a goofy haircut just because I'm a princess now. And so good life lessons there too. And yeah, of course, my son likes Dogman and Captain Underpants.
He loves Dogman on my end too, but I haven't really gotten him to get into Captain Underpants. My brother loved that when we were kids. That one's been around a while.
Yeah.
But Dogman definitely, for sure.
Yeah, and my only gripe with the Dogman and Captain Underpants is that, the protagonists are, second graders or something. And so they're like, they're doing a really good job, but a lot of the words are misspelled. And I'm like, I don't want them writing super as supa.
Right.
And, I don't know. It's not really becoming a problem though. So probably don't need to actually worry about that. I'm like, yay, he's reading.
Yeah, he's reading. That's what it's about.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. This has been a great conversation about books, and parents, you might have found some things that you want to introduce your kids to. And like Zach said earlier, reading to your kids at night is very important. I do it. Zach does it. All three of us were read to all the time when we were kids, and look how we turned out. We're podcasters now.
I mean, even if it's a great day, it's a bad day, it's a busy day, you don't have time to do it, you just do it anyway, even if it's 5 minutes.
It was something that always made me feel, loved and thought about. And it doesn't even matter that, my dad didn't necessarily know all the definitions of the words. That was fun to look it up together, or to feel like, well, maybe I want to read ahead and find out what happens next time. You never know what you're going to spark. Just taking the time to do it. It made a huge difference for me, and I didn't even realize it until I got much, much older. So,
and if you're having a bad day and you read, it might adjust your mood too. You might have a better rest of your day after you read. All right, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Animorphs 55, the podcast, is a fan-driven, nostalgic podcast created by Zach Hurdle, Patrick Viersba, and Alex Holton. But don't tell the Yeerks. Theme music provided by Neko Boy. Podcast artwork by Rachel Hurdle. Episodes edited by Patrick Viersba. Based on the 90s sci-fi kids series written by K.A. Applegate, Michael Grant, and other contributing authors. To contact the show, email animorphspodpeople@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.